I started out very young and I didn't know what my path would be, but people around me told me that art might be my best option. Art just was the thing that came natural and easy. My father, who's Japanese, had a Japanese friend who was a full-time artist living in Germany, and he was an abstract painter, and that to me was almost kind of mysterious. I grew up in the German countryside almost, outside of Tübingen, which is a university in the south. I was accepted to the Kunstakademie in Düsseldorf. It was a very international student body. And video was a really new thing being taught in art school. That's where I fell into using video as a medium. And I didn't study animation in art school. I guess one of the one of the ways how I taught myself animation is to watch animation on TV. I had a 2-year-old child at the time, and I remember watching Sesame Street with her and recording sections of Sesame Street to understand how you make a head turn in this very kind of simplified animation style. The idea or the wish to work with animation came first, and then it turned out that the art world, galleries, museums were a better place to show these animations than film festivals.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen.
The Simpson trial was very much a global event. The arrest of O.J. Simpson happened during the World Cup, which also took place in the United States, and a lot of the sports broadcasts were interrupted to broadcast the car chase. I thought of this process of translating archival footage into animation, and the first thing that came to my mind is that I wanted to use the Simpson verdict. I don't think I wanted to use it because of the racial subtext of the trial, but I think I wanted to use it because I think of it as a kind of cinema verite. It was a camera following an event without any kind of aesthetic questions in mind. The person who videotaped the trial didn't think about composition or so, thought about like getting it onto a screen. Then, having shown it in many places, I learned that the racial subtext is inseparable from the experience of the piece. But that also has to do with the kind of enduring fascination that this trial has had on people.
In the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
The original plan for the animation was to have voice actors reenact the audio track of the trial. But because I was in grad school while making this animation, I had to show in-progress versions of the animation to my cohort and my professors. And in the absence of a recorded soundtrack, I just used the original track and then noticed actually that there was a real power in that. I feel image and sound are strongest when there is a tension between the two. And I found that the kind of tension between this highly stylized drawing and the very raw archival audio added to the experience of the piece. Drawing is a very general term that describes many different ways of creating an image or a line. I trace over forms that I see in a photograph or in an image that I work with. So I'm creating kind of a manual recording of another image. So when I draw something, it's a mental process. My eye takes in the information from the original and then sends a signal to my hand to move the pen in certain ways. So this kind of consciousness of my body is in the drawing. So that's something that's added that was not in the original. Drawing A frame can take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours, depending on the complexity of the frame. It's really like being a snail crawling up a very high mountain. I came up with this drawing style out of a technical necessity. Video in these times, digital video, was still very rough, low resolution. And if you used complex color gradients or so, the image would tend to break apart or look pixelated. And the use of these solid colors was a way of compressing it for digital video and still have a very high image quality. After falling into this way of drawing, I also fell in love with the visual effect that this had, and also with the emotional effect. I always thought that art, just like music and dance, should be for everyone, and so I tried to make work that's accessible. I'm not interested in making work that only speaks to 200 people on this planet. As an immigrant to this country, who has now lived here for a really long time, I still feel that I look at what's around me as an observer with the distance that immigrants bring to this life experience. But I don't feel that I'm a commentator. I don't feel that I'm trying to tell the world how to look at life in the United States. I'm just perceiving and recording my impressions. Even though I don't create actual mirrors, I hope that the work also functions as some kind of a mirror image where the viewer is confronted with their own memories and experiences.